So recently I got a lot of DMs on Discord of some friends asking how do I animate and how do I edit. It's kind of been like this for about maybe like a month or so, and I just refused to teach them because basically teaching is impossible for me. So I thought I'd kind of do like a little slash tutorial video because I don't know why not. I mean, they seem to think I'm good at SFM and editing, and to them I say, are you blind? But I thought I might as well make this video just so I don't have to explain to them because I'm lazy. So I guess this is like a SFM and an editing tutorial, so yeah, just stick around for the ride. So basically what I do when I start animating is I go to my name and I type in whatever I'm working on. So I'll just type in test right now and load a map. If you don't know how to load a map, you want to either right click in here and click load map. And let's go to Manor, since that's the last thing I animated on, the Luigi's Mansion animation. Okay, now that our map is loaded up, it took a little bit, but that's fine. I have two little setups over here. If you want to know how to do that, just go to Windows, go to Layouts, or no, go to Windows and click Secondary Viewpoint. Or actually, let me set it all back to default, and I'll just show you how to do it from here. So this is what SFM looks like default, I think. I don't know, I haven't had it on default in a while. Just go to Windows, Secondary Viewpoint, and then see it up here. Grab it and drag it over here or wherever you prefer it, and then drag this over a little bit, and then drag this way down, or not that far down, but like that down here. And then you want to click this little drop down arrow, hover over chain scene camera, click new camera. What this does is it creates like what you will be able to see in your session. So you want to hold left click in the area, you can use your mouse to move, press WASD to move around, and shift to, like, you know, go faster, and control to go a little bit, you know, slower. And hold on, X is to go down and Z is to go up. Also, if you hold down E or hold down R and then move your camera, you can like change it like that, but I just preferably keep it like this. So what you want to do is you want to find a spot to animate in. This room seems nice. You want to position your camera, or at least this is how I animate in Source Filmmaker. You can have your own animation thing, but this is just how I do it. So if you don't do it like this and have your own method, you can, you know, keep the way you do, but this is how I do it. So you want to import a model. You always start out with the model, and you know what, since it's on Luigi, I guess we'll go ahead and do Luigi. Okay, so I couldn't find my Luigi model in time, and I just thought, let's just go with the Mario Odyssey model. So when you import it, they'll be T-posing on you, you know, like a true Mafia gamer. But anyways, they'll be T-posing on you, and you notice you can't move them. So what you want to do is over here, and down on these three sections, you have the clip editor, the motion editor, and the graph editor. I do not use the motion editor. So many SFM YouTubers who are like really good at it are probably like looking at me confused right now. I just don't use this. I only use these two. This is for like if you want to watch the whole thing. If you oh, by the way, if you are like playing the clip, you can also move this or just press space to view it. And if you want to go back to the beginning without like dragging it perfectly, press up on the keyboard to go to the beginning and down to go to the very end. Or you can use the keyframes to go frame by frame. So you can't really do anything in this except for if you like, say you want like scenes to cut. Like for instance, let's play the Luigi's Mansion video right now. So you see how in this scene where Luigi's thrown, and like when he hits the ground, the scene switches and then gets closer on him from a different angle. See, the camera is looking this way right now, standing still, and then when he falls, it switches and looks at him. So what you want to do is play the video, or however long you want your first shot to be, pause it, click B on your keyboard. That creates two shots. So in the second shot, you can move your camera, and if you press up, it goes back to the first shot. But if you were like at the end and you press up, it's going to go to the first shot. So if you play it, switches between them like that. So let's get to actually animating the character. So you want to press on, you want to click the graph editor. I don't really call these by their names a lot. I just, you know, just say animation thing. I know I'm not educated at all. So how to select a character's bones is you want to hold control on your keyboard, and you can select any of these bones. Now before we actually do this, I do not use it like how it is. Like as you can see, this doesn't look realistic at all. If I move his hand, it just moves his hand. His arm just moves his arm. And by the way, you can press Control Z to undo what you just did, and then that's the big arm and all that. what I do is, a lot of people don't actually do this, or, you know, a lot of people do this, but there are some that don't, I know. Right click on your model, go down to rig, and what you would click is, if you're new to Source Filmmaker, is rig bib simple, but I recommend going on the SFM workshop and downloading rig universal 3. This makes it to where, since the models, you see how some bones disappeared. If we go grab his elbows, I gotta fix this real quick because this is what happens with the Mario models when you use them the first time. Okay, so if you move your hand, you see his arm moves with it, so you don't have to like move his whole arm as a separate thing. Move his pelvis. Now these Mario models are a bit weird. You have to like attach their head to their body, because if you just move it without it, his head won't move with him. Yeah, you can press it. Whoops, hold on, I'm grabbing the wrong thing. If you do it like this, you see how his knee bends backwards. You just pull that to the front. Easy fix. Now, let's actually position him. So you can either go over here and click your body parts. Let me actually drag this out a little bit. You can either go over there, grab their body parts, or you can just grab the root, which is usually under their feet with these models, and put him like right on the ground. Make sure his feet aren't clipping through. Right there is good. So now you want to position your camera where you want it, and I'll just make him wave at the camera and say something, I don't know. So let's actually position him. So when anyone stands up, they can't be standing up straight, but you know, Mario's got that extra weight on him because he's a thick boy. So we're gonna like, his knees does not want to work. We crouch down on his pelvis to make it look like he's carrying all this weight right here. So let's position him. I'm gonna skip in like positioning him because it's basically like, okay, wait, now I should probably talk about this real quick. These little things down here, you got screen R, rotate shift, move shift, and select Q. So what you can do is you can press, that's not how you do it. Press, I don't really use the keybinds. I actually just click them like a normal person. This, you can only rotate it. You can't like move it out. Like say with this, you can like stretch his foot out. And if you had like the regular or the default rig on, his leg would like extend out. But with this, I just like to use this more. I just used it for more time than I have the others. And I'm sorry if a lot of what I'm saying is not making sense. Like I said, I'm not the best at teaching tutorials. I just hope like if you're new out there and you're trying to get good at SFM, this helps you a little bit. So now Mario's position, not one of the best positions I've ever done. It's because I'm just trying to hurry through this tutorial, but don't worry, I'm still going to make it kind of look somewhat good. Now, with some characters, like the TF2 characters, you can just go to face, and you can press like this to move their eyes right or left, up or down, like that. Do this to like change their face expressions, like hello, even though that doesn't look like he's saying hello. But for the eyes, you can't like open the eyelids. Some models, you have to do that like actually like by yourself. And it's kind of lagging because I'm recording with OBS right now, but I'm just going to skip ahead to when I have the eyes set up. One thing I want to mention real quick is when you drag his eyes down, you know how they're like looking apart like he's dumb or something? That's actually pretty funny. That's probably going to be the thumbnail later. I don't know. So what you want to do is you want to go to eye convergence, and if you drag it all the way to the right, his eyes cross, and then the other way is just stupid. You want to drag it in the like middle-ish. I don't think the TF2 characters do that a lot, or whatever model you're probably using, but if it does, that's just a way to fix it. Let's go ahead and set up our camera. You can scroll out, or scroll forward to make the camera zoom out, and I don't see why you would ever want to do this, unless you're like making one of those anime things that no one ever does. Or you can zoom inward towards you to make the camera like, it zooms in a lot more, so it gives like more detail, but if you scroll too far, it like makes everything flip upside down. So we're gonna put our camera right here, like with this zoom out. I believe another way you can do it is if you go over here and click new camera. Now if you do it like this, you'll actually like be able to animate your camera, but we don't need to animate our camera for now. So what we're gonna do is go to work camera, and you see over here, this is actually our camera, so when we move him like outside the space of things we can't see in the camera, it moves just like it would with the camera looking at it. I don't know if I explained that right. Like I said, bad at tutorials, but anyways, let's get to animating. So what I always do first before I start is I go up and select my character and then press M. M is how you make a new frame or a bookmark. I'm just gonna call it frame. So you want to press M, and you can either, which I don't really do this, also you can scroll in on the thing down here, the timeline, and you can make it like super zoomed out or super zoomed in. I usually keep it around here. Press M, and you can either drag this to however long you want the movement to be, or you can press the key or arrow keys on your keyboard. So say you want something to be 5 seconds long, 5 frames long. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. As you see, I moved it 5 frames down there, and then we pull Mario's we move his spine down. This is just for example. And if we press up, we play back. That's how fast he'd move. Now, if we were to do it 10, oh, by the way, you can always Control Z to just redo your stuff. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then we move his pelvis down again, same as we did earlier. You see his pelvis, or his spine, moves down a lot slower than it usually would. By the way, if you move your character's pelvis in this rig, his whole body is going to move with it, and it doesn't look good unless you're like making him fly through the air or something. So, but then again, I would just use the root, you know, because it doesn't mess up everything. So, we want Mario to just like have like a cartoony like bounce down, then right back up, and then wave at the camera and say something. So it's basically just a matter of guessing about which time, like how long you want your movements to be. Like if you wanted someone to move downwards, like how can I put this? Like if you like bounce down then up really quickly and then wave like in cartoons, you wouldn't want it to be like super slow like this and then bounce up like that. No. You have to like guess the time of how quick it would be. So we're gonna select Mario, click M. Usually what I like to do when I do this is 4 frames, but you can do 5 for the extra little period. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then you wanna move Mario's spine, or whatever model you're using. I'm sorry if you just heard that bump right there. And then what I like to do is add the head physics, but we'll talk about that in a second. So now, as you can see, that's what our animation is right now. So when you go to 4, you press M again, always to make sure, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Move his pelvis back up and move it a little bit towards the camera. So now, it looks like that. Go to your first keyframe, and always make sure to click Control S to save your project. You know, so it doesn't like you don't abandon it completely. Then you want to do 1, 2, 3. This is going to make it really quick, but don't move it that much. It's to add that bounce effect. And then 1, 2, and then move it back into position. See, it kind of adds like a little bounce effect. But we can fix it because it doesn't look that good. It looks a little choppy. So, let's go to the camera actually and select the rotation tool. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. 1, 2. There we go. That looks good. Now we can. Now you see it's kind of stiff, and his eyes don't move, his hands, his head, or anything. What I like to do is I also like to make the nose move, because as you know in Mario games, their nose actually moves a lot, like it bounces around. Like take Luigi's Mansion for example. When you see Luigi walking through the hallway, you can see his nose like bouncing up and down. That's because their noses are so fat and it adds its own like bone. Like in here it has the nose bone. Now if you're like making like a realistic animation like with Team Fortress 2, I wouldn't recommend that, because you don't want that to look cartoony unless that's the kind of style you're going for. But if you're going for like something serious, then yeah, I'd recommend not doing this. Like actually just do realistic movements. Another way you can do it is you can like stand up or get a friend to like do the movement in real life, and then you kind of just watch them do it and kind of do it like, you know, how they would do it. So let's start off with his head. So his head's in the back. Usually their neck would be attached, but Mario doesn't have a neck because of his fat. So as you can see, when we go to our head, we can't see any of the frames anymore, but if we select his spine, we see our frames. That's because the head has its own animation set. Every bone has its own animation. But if we select Mario as a whole, this would show everything we've moved. So if we go right here and move his, I don't know, tongue, you're not going to see it because it's inside his mouth. And for the tongue, that's the only 2 spaces it moved. But if we select everything, it's showing like everything we've moved. So be careful if you go to delete a frame and you delete it like doing this. You could also delete like other movements. So let's select his head and click in. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's how many spaces his body moved down. What I like to do for head movements is go word can you not is go 1, 2, which is half of 4, you know, this is basically just math now, and move it up a little bit. Because say you, alright, take your arm for example. If you swing it down, and you like let your hand loose, your hand is going to move with it. But as it's going down, your hand is going backwards up. And then when your arm stops, your hand's going down a little bit and then jerking a little bit back up. You know what I'm talking about. So now it looks like this. This frame carries through everything else. So and now what you want to do is 1, 2, 3, make it go down. 1, 2, 3. You basically want to find where his body stops moving up and hits that pause, and then 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Now, it looks like that. Looks a lot better. Looks a lot cleaner. Yeah, that looks good. So now, we can go to his eyes and move it now. So, face is everything. Like, his mouth, his eyes, his everything. So, if you move face, it's gonna, like, have its own separate thing for all of these combined. So, let's start with the eyes. We want him to look at the camera, so right about here, I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's where he's looking at the camera. 1, 2, 3, 4. Or just 3. Make him look down a little bit. There we go. Now he's looking at the camera. And if you want to add some jaw motion, you can do like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, that's how far. And make his like jaw open, or no, his jaw like have motion too. As his head moves up, his jaw would go down, and then as his head moves down, his jaw would go up. So now you can do like that. It looks okay. Now I also like to add like mustache physics too for Bobbly mustache, but we're not gonna do that because I'm like on a time period right now. So now you want to animate his hands. Basically the same as you would animate everything else. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's make him move down a little bit. Also, here's a key thing to keep in mind that I should have explained in the beginning. Say you want this hand to stand still for the whole animation, and then like right here you want it to move to the left, or just say you want it to like move up like this. This looks horrible, but just make like you just want to move it right here, English. So don't do that, because it's going to be moving that whole way. What you want to do is, if you want it to stand still for this long, and then now you want it to move, press M. It makes a blank keyframe to where your hand is still standing still. And then you can press how long you want the hand to move for. So if you just want it to quickly move up, you can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Make it move up. Or you can do 1, 2. Make it move up really quick, which I don't like to do anything in the 2 section unless it's something barely moving. Let's just get to animating the hand. So I'm going to actually drag this over a little bit. 1, 2, 3, 4. And now here I'm going to add some hand physics. Wait, that's a little too fast. 1, 2, 3. Make his hand bob. 1, 2. 1, 2. This is what I do when I always animate my characters. I always add that kind of like bobbiness. As you can see, his hand is in his body. You want to go to the frame that makes it to where his hand's actually going through his body, which is right here. Move it out a little bit. Move it to that same spot right there. Okay, so we're not going to be able to fix it doing like that, so we're just going to move it the other way. it's okay for right now. We'll just let it do like how it needs to do. So now we're gonna move his nose, and I'm gonna skip through all the things. Like, I'm gonna skip through this right now. Basically, it's if something moves down, what else you're animating after it will move up, and if it goes up, it moves down for cartoony effect, like I like to do. So I'll catch you guys in a second. Now, as we can see, his nose bobs along with it. Now, normally I wouldn't animate a hat in this situation because I only like to animate him if he's like falling. His hat will have like some air time with it. So I'm not going to move the hat with it, but it's basically just the same as anything else, like the after effects of the hand or the after effect of the nose. So now we have our animation character done. So now we want it to, we're not going to split the shots because we know like how to do that already. I already told you. So we're going to have him like standing still for a second. And then we want him to say something. How to import sounds is you want to go to the graph editor. Actually, is this what this is called? Or clip editor, my bad. I don't call them by their names. I'm just like that. And you want to go to this green section, right click, click add clip to track. This is where it gives you your sound effects, like Source Filmmaker's default sound effects, like
now.
It just gives you random sound effects, but you can also download your own on the Source Filmmaker workshop. So what we're gonna do is go into, these can get annoying sometimes. I'm not going to say they can't. I'm gonna go to type in Mario and look for what do we want Mario to say. We just go through all these and see. We'll make him say hello. So now if we play it, also if you scroll down you can see that it's green right here. I don't really like to mess with them that much, but you can set volume right here. I never really do that much unless something's too quiet. I just kind of edit it in Sony Vegas because I'm lazy. But now let's watch it.
Hello.
So what we want to do is go to where he says hello, which would be right here. Go back to the graph editor, and then click M. And here's where we want to animate his mouth. So we're gonna get our work camera right at his mouth. Click face, and then that's the You see how it's making that same noise? Because when you say hello, you start with he. So you want his mouth to be open, but making like a he expression. So that's kind of like eh. And then for l, like hell, you want to make it look like an O shape, and close his mouth a little bit. And see how he gets loud? You want to make his mouth go even wider, and then make his mouth go wider. I don't really like to talk when I do these kind of things because it kind of messes me up. And then here's where he finished it. So let's see what it looks like. Probably not gonna look that good because, you know, I'm trying to hurry through this.
Hello.
See, it doesn't look the best, but you just keep experimenting with it and it looks better. I can't speak when doing tutorials, dude. So we want him to wave his hand. So he starts right here, or he starts a frame ahead, but we'll just start a little bit behind. Click M, and I don't know what this keyframe right here is doing. Just, you can delete it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Make his hand go up like this. Sometimes this elbow will screw you over. Just move the elbow a little bit down. Unless it looks like that, then just move it back to where it was, because it's probably for the best. Right. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, there's no way we're gonna be able to fix the elbow, so we're just gonna keep it right there.
Hello.
It's the most we can do. Now, before you render your animation, you always want to add lights.